positive integer divisor of 12 factorial is chosen at random. The probability that the divisor chosen is a perfect square can be expressed as m over n, where m and n are relatively prime positive integers. What is m plus n? We're going to start by writing out just what 12 factorial is. 12 factorial, it's just 1 times 2 times 3 times 4 times 5 times 6 times 7 times 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So looking at that, we're then going to write the prime factorization of 12 factorial. So be going through all those and write the prime factorization of each individual number. So these are all prime already. And then we can write that's 2 squared. This is 2 times 3. This is 2 squared, 2 to the third, 3 squared, 5 times 2. And then this is 2 squared times 3. So the prime factorization ends up coming out to 2 to the 10th times 3 to the 5th times 5 squared times 7 times 11. So now that we've written that out, I want to find the number of divisors of 12 factorial. And the way we're going to do that is it's just the number of options you can have right there. So that a divisor of 2 to the 10th, it could be 2 to the 0, it could be 2 to the 1, all the way down to it could be 2 to the 10th. So there are 11 options for 2 to what power it could be. So first we got 11, and we'll do the same thing for 3. So we could have 3 to the 0, we could have 3 to the 1, we could have 3 to the 5th. So there are 6 options there, and we keep doing this, and it comes out to times 3, then times 2, times 2. And that equals 792. And so now we think about how many of those are perfect square divisors. So of those 11, the ones that are perfect squares are, 1 is a perfect square, so 2 to the 0, then 2 squared, then 2 to the 4th, all the way down to 2 to the 10th, even powers of 2. So there are 6 perfect square divisors. And then for the 3 to the 5th, well, 3 to the 0 is 1, 3 squared is 1, 3 to the 4th is 1. So there are 3 that come from there. And then right here, 5 squared, it's just 5 to the 0 and 5 squared, so there are 2. And then no perfect square divisors divide 7 or 11. So we'll call this perfect square divisors of 12 factorial. It's going to be 6 times 3 times 2, which is, that comes out to 36. So you could also just write this out. What we want to find is this, the number of perfect square divisors over the number of divisors of 12 factorial. And that's just going to be 11 times 6 times 3 times 2 times 2 all over 6 times 3 times 2. Or sorry, we want to find, sorry, this should be, flip it, 6 times 3 times 2 over 11 times 6 times 3 times 2 times 2. And so we get 1 over 22. So that's the probability that one of the divisors is going to be a perfect square. And we see that 1 and 22 are relatively prime. So then in finding, so this is equal to m over n. Therefore, m plus n is equal to 1 plus 22, which is 23. So the answer is choice E.